right, folks. This is Lit Literature with the Shoutouts. We're back with you again for our doubleheader. And what I mean by that is we just record the previous episode that you listened to, hopefully. That might mean we're a little bit more drunk than normal. Anyway, we're going to finish our conversation of part 3. And exactly, The Way of Kings, Stormlight Archive by Brandon Sanderson, in preparation for the 3rd book, which will be released this month, November. It's going to be awesome. So we got to get a lot of work done. Next week we're going to have, 2 weeks probably, we'll have part 4 done. We'll record them, and then
next week we should get through the end of the book.
Yeah, probably.
2 weeks.
Yeah.
Actually, 2 weeks. Let's go. End the book. Let's do it.
Let's do it.
That's what we're going to do. But for now, we got to finish talking about part 3. And then, by the end of the book, after our next episode, we'll be talking the next book, The Words of Radiance. But for now, part 3, The Way of Kings. So, again, you're here with us, Shoutouts. It's your host, The Demon, JP. On the line from LA, the director, Brett Williams. Anything to add, Brett?
What's up?
You can find him on Twitter.
We'll do that at the end. Oh, we missed that last time.
You can check me out at www.brettwilliamsfilm.com or on Facebook, Brett Williams Film, and B Williams Film at Twitter.
Nice. We have the Cherry.
Josh Armstrong, you can find me right here on Lit Literature and nowhere else.
Good.
Yeah.
I'm exclusive.
The Hitman, you could find him through online contract services, accepting payment from Bitcoin only, or
On the black market.
Craigslist. Anything to add?
Nope.
We're
talking about assassination, not hookups. Game.
Or hookups, pretty much. I don't do hookups, too.
Depends. Anyway, we've got the captain over here, Andros, Captain Andros.
I am a fresh survivor of a Carbranth cut purse alley, and I'm happy to be here.
Nice.
Awesome.
And
we've got Yesna. Special guest Yesna in the house.
Represent.
A little bit of a hairy version.
Yeah.
Yes, no.
Yes. A little bit of a man version of Yesna.
And Latin version.
Latin, yeah. So
Who said
how
that?
can you make Yesna better? You make her a Latin man.
I don't know if she would like that whole dark-eyed thing in their culture, but that's...
First of all, not all Latin men are dark-eyed, bitch. And first of all, she would like it because then she wouldn't be such a freaking racist. Anyways.
This is our second double header, so we're all a little bit more lit
Yeah.
than the first
Why
round.
is he bringing up our eye color again? So because there's more of them, he thinks he can bring us down. This is In the Dream, your fellow dark guys, your fellow awesome guy. You can find me anywhere. Bye.
All right. So as a quick heads up, in the middle, we're going to post this on the Literature Facebook page and YouTube channel. But the reality is that we just closed out a bet. And it was a Brett bet, and it had to do with Yasna and her previous knowledge of Shallan's family history and motives, which we got confirmation that Yasna really didn't know.
No.
So what we did is the outcome was you had to chug your drink, which in Brett's case was tequila, and in Manny's case was vodka and a little bit of soda, and then they had to do push-ups. So we have that on video for you guys if you want to watch In the Dream or the director in some form of pain. And you also want to watch the captain and the hitman cheersing and laughing at them because the hitman and the captain won that bet.
Feels good to win.
Yes. So anyway, we're going to continue. So we talked about Shallan last episode. Now we've got to get into Dalinar and Kaladin. Kaladin is by far the biggest chunk of this section, so I suggest that we start with Dalinar. Yeah. So let's start with Dalinar. So at the previous section, he was going to advocate in favor of Adolin because he thinks basically he's going insane from the storms.
Well, even though he doesn't think it, he thinks the right decision because he doesn't know what the motive of the visions are. He believes that the safe decision, 100%, is to abdicate or give up the throne to his heir, which is, or not his throne, but his seat, which as High Prince, to his Son.
Yeah, definitely to his hair.
To his hair.
I was gonna say the same thing. To his hair.
That was subliminal. I'm missing hair, so I just want to talk about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, cheers, Ben. Hitman.
Josh is going bald,
we
so he
can't cheers
sees
to
hair
that, Josh.
everywhere.
We should cheers to the
that.
five head, too.
No. Only let the bald people cheers on that one.
Shine bright like a 5-head.
All right. So anyway, where are we with Dalinar?
But quick question: did
Yes.
anyone ever go back and check the king gave away his armor? or
Alucard?
he had-
Oh, no.
King
Eloquent.
Galavar.
Galavar.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
think we know what happened to it.
Oh, then
I'm going to say that I am 99.999999999% positive Gavilar kept his father's armor. And he gave away Dalinar, gave him... We didn't check this, but I'm almost positive because I was looking it up weeks ago. But now it's weeks ago and I forgot already. So I'm almost positive Dalinar gave him the suit and then he gave it to one of his high-level warriors. I will confirm that. That's a good question, Ben.
But
I
does-
confirmed it and now I can't remember.
But that's
what I
one thing
found.
that's a little bit interesting because and I don't know if we have specific answer to this, but we've heard all of the other high princes have, oh, this is kind of our capital and this is where we are. But I'm assuming that Elokar and Gavilan before that had their own region or their own area. Just now they're high king over all the other princedoms, but there's one area that must have originally belonged to them because they were at one point essentially a high prince. So we don't hear much about Elokar's army. He doesn't necessarily have one.
No. He actually doesn't have one because he's the king. Dalinar, being the younger brother, the older brother was the king. Dalinar became the seat of that.
Yeah.
Good point.
So,
Okay, I get it.
So he doesn't have one, but the one thing that they do mention is that Dalinar lets not Gavilar, his
Elokar.
son, Elokar, kind of meddle in the ruling of that high princedom.
Okay.
And that's because technically it was Gavilar's princedom, and Dalinar doesn't. He's kind of looking out for his nephew in a sense. So that's what happened. That's why he doesn't really have his own high princedom anymore. He rules all of them, but Dalinar allows him to. Dalinar is technically the high seat, which is why he's abdicating. He's abdicating in favor of his son, Adolin,
Yeah.
who's would be in essence the high seat of that particular high princedom.
Gotcha.
So I don't know that there's a ton else. I mean, let's go around the table real quick. What else does Dalinar accomplish?
Dalinar?
Or Dalinar, excuse me, Dalinar. Jeez, I've got too many names going on.
Nothing, because he's not really in this section, is he?
Yeah,
not really
I
in
was
it,
going
right?
to say, I don't think Dalinar's in part 3 at all.
No,
I think it's
he's-
just...
Is it really?
I think
Okay.
it's just the random character, the
Just
one-timers, and then
Shallan
and then Kaladin and
Shallan and Kaladin, yeah.
So really, there's not a ton of. Well, he's in only as a side character, right? Because they comment on him a little.
They
bit.
just comment on him.
And then
That's
Adolin shows up in one scene, which we'll get to a little bit later.
Yes.
All right, so in that case, let's skip directly to Kaladin, and then we'll follow up to this crossing of the roads.
Cool.
So, Kaladin.
I can kick things off. Bridge 4 is gaining members, and we are very happy to see Bridge 4 in a prosperous state. They're doing very well, and Kaladin even comes up with a new method of performing the bridge runs. What he does is he positions the bridge on the side of the troops so that when they approach the Parshendi on their bridge runs, they essentially use the bridge as a giant shield, and it really works really extremely well. In fact, a little bit too
well, yeah.
Because as they get to the front and they lay down their bridge without any injuries or fatalities, all of the Parshendi focus their arrows on the other bridge crews, which get there that much slower because Kaladin's
trying to follow
crew.
this.
And some of them try not effectively to mimic what Kaladin's crew's doing. So they're trying to raise it on the side, and then they fall, and it doesn't work.
So let's before we continue further, let's jump back real quick and say I think we started he got all of the team members at the end of the last section, right?
They all start to follow him. They are loyal to him.
Yeah, and that's when they start training this method.
And
right?
I think the final straw was when
refreshing
he
my
starts
memory, too.
starts swinging the bow staff or the spear, and he's really
was
going
part
through.
2. Yeah,
that
that
was
was
part
part
two. He's
2.
going through his forms, and that's when everyone realizes like we got to follow this guy.
So-
and that's when he wins some people over.
So he's got 3 members that are injured, right? And they're covering them with the cost. They do these nightly stews. They have a real life now. They train so that they can actually manage the bridge runs more successfully without losing. And the injured men they take care of because they have the cash.
They bring them back too.
So they've got that. So that's when Kaladin comes up with this idea, right? He's like, man, maybe we should try this. And he has him try the training a little bit with the, he has all the tall guys on one side and the short guys on the other. So the bridge is essentially slanted.
Right.
Which turns it into a shield, like you said. So when they get down to the battlefield.
But then Gauze catches him doing it.
Yes.
And he's like, I want you to carry the bridge like that into battle.
Because I think you'll fail.
Yeah.
Right.
He'll think,
He wants to get rid of him.
Yeah,
He
he
hates
wants
him.
him to
He
die.
wants him to die.
And so does Gaz's boss, who is
Yeah.
a very, very, very low-ranked Bright Eyes.
Does he even know about him yet? Like
He does here.
acknowledge him.
He saw
they-
them doing it. Yeah,
Yeah,
right?
he
sees
acknowledges
them
it in the beginning of part 3. He sees them doing it, and he's like, you know what? I'm going to let them try that because they're going to fail, and they're all
And
going to
they're gonna
die.
He specifically even
succeed,
says that he
it's gonna
has to die like in battle, right? He's like, we can't
Right.
be the ones to kill him.
Yeah, actually...
That's because of the we got to talk about that.
Right,
too.
we do. Yeah, that I can't remember the name of that guy, but
can't remember either, yeah.
he's Gaz's superior officer, and he basically forces Gaz to come up with a way to kill Kaladin in the field of battle. And Gaz sees Kaladin and the crew practicing with this weird sideways bridge run. And they're like, oh, you know what? That could work in our favor because that's probably not going to work on the battlefield.
And
They're
especially
gonna
when
drop
they
it and
start
die.
running it, it's awkward, it's cumbersome, they're not moving as
They're
fast.
slower. Yeah,
they're
right.
slower. So in Gaz's mind, like, this is going to turn out miserable, which is exactly what he wants. Because 1 out of 20 bridges going down is acceptable for him, especially when it means getting rid of someone who's trying to instill hope in these people. Because they're not supposed to be hopeful. They're just supposed to go out there and be essentially arrow fodder.
Right. At the end of part 2, it was revealed that Sadius says that it's not the bridgeman's job to survive, it's their job to die. A bridgeman who survives a battle is a bridgeman who has failed his job.
Yep.
Which
They're
is
straight up bait.
pretty terrible. Yeah.
Because they have enough bait that they know that half of the bait's going to make it, half the bait's not going to make it, and that's how he plans it.
right.
And that
At
means
the beginning of
survivors
part
on the-
3, though, Kaladin doesn't know that yet, right?
No, he doesn't. He
he figures that out
understands
soon.
that once their successful sideways bridge carry
Right.
goes
Lamaro.
into effect.
Lamaro.
What was it?
Lamaro.
Oh, yeah, is that commanding officer?
That's the commanding
yeah.
officer, Lamaro.
So just to catch us up on the story, Kaladin's his sideways bridge carry is successful. Their bridge 4 gets it up to the chasm with no casualties, no injuries, but all the other bridge crews are behind
it.
Kaladin.
They see it.
and it causes them to shift their own unpracticed
Like, oh
bridge
shit.
carries.
Yeah, unpracticed.
This
And
is
they're like,
where
oh
he
shit,
works.
we want to live.
It goes really poorly for them, so not enough bridges get up to the chasm, and not enough troops can get across
at a time. So they be turned into
Sadius-
these very thin, like little choke points where
Right.
easy arrows just raining down on troops crossing only a few bridges that actually made it. And an important thing is when Gaz sees this, he sees like, oh, this is slower, it's not as effective. But we didn't realize is how much that the Bridge 4 has been training, so they can run fast enough to get ahead of everyone.
Right.
Which is a great point at first because they know it's slower carrying it on the sideways. But what they don't realize, because they're so far ahead of everyone sees what they do.
Yeah.
And when they try to mimic it, they haven't had the same training. They haven't had the same ability to try that out where it just
And they weren't
failed
so efficient. They were running, and then
miserably.
they shifted to the side carry, and it was like
seamless because
Yeah.
they practiced it. But crews that all these crews that had like haven't practiced at all of a sudden see, holy shit, this entire bridge crew is carrying a giant shield in front of them effectively, and none of them's getting hit with arrows. We should try this, but all of a sudden they don't have that same amount of prep. They don't have all the small people on one side and the larger people on the other side. So a giant person trying to all of a sudden say, I need to carry my end lower and I need to stoop down. He can't run. They're tripping over each other. You get this just mass of death and all these people just falling, and bridges are literally collapsing on top of people.
Massive casualties on all the other bridge crews except for Kaladin's. And Kaladin, his crew pulls back to safety, and they're Kaladin's for the first time watching the battle unfold without his own participation because he's already done his job. And he sees how horribly surviving and doing well for his team has affected everyone else in Sadeas's army. So once Kaladin realizes that, Gaz and the commanding officer go up to him, and they once again drag Kaladin's face into the proverbial mud and say, you have failed again. This is not what you're supposed to do. We're going to punish you. Kaladin's beat by the soldiers.
We're going to kill him. Right there.
So initially, as soon as they see this, they say, Kaladin realizes, like, I've created a giant, essentially fuck up. Like, I've just nearly lost them the war. And you know what they're going to do? They're immediately going to come and they're going to kill me because they're going to try and set an example, say, this person acted on his own. But what he recognizes is, if I take the blame for this, if I say, I did this on my own and I can make sure to collaborate your story that I did this on my own and not cast any doubt on you guys that you told me to do it this way, I'm a lowly bridgeman. So in the leadership eyes, it's like, okay, I've got a fall guy, but I don't have to kill him anymore. I can't kill him anymore because now he's my only one of saying, we didn't do this. Even though they technically did. They told Kaladin, run it that way because they wanted him to fail.
So basically, the Gaz and the commander, the lowly bright eyes, forget his name, you already found
Lamaro.
Yeah. They come over and they say, all right.
Lamoral.
Lamoral.
Pronounced it in the
Lamoral. That's right.
Lamoral.
Thank you. We got a few audiobook guys here too. I'm one of them, but I just can't remember. But so basically, yeah, I know. So they come over there, and Kaladin, being the brave leader that he is, takes the blame for it. But Lamoral, the idiot, beats him unconscious. So what happens to Lamoral? He gets his head chopped off by
Sadeas himself.
Because Sadeas is going to blame somebody, and they beat Kaladin unconscious. He couldn't even corroborate their story anymore.
Right. But you got to think that probably would have happened anyway, because they're going to say, at the end of the point, the dark eyes they're too stupid to understand what's happening. You're the leader. You're the light eyes who's supposed to be leading this. You need to know beforehand, and you need to identify
Terry,
that.
you bring up a good point. The culture is not a cowardly culture or a blaming culture. They are all high and mighty light eyes for sure. High and mighty for sure.
You fail,
but
you fucked up.
A war culture. You fail, you fucked up. Honor's a big deal. They just kill you. Yeah, that's real. That is real. So there's a little bit of that.
And it's a little bit ironic that Kaladin's kind of saving thing there is he said, oh, you guys should identify that I can save you, but the light eye should have recognized you're fucked anyway.
But you know what?
You are the head of that.
He was probably so screwed anyway. He was looking for any option to try to
any small sliver of hope.
Right. So,
and to kind of gloss over some more of the summary, very quickly, Kaladin's punishment for that crime is being left out in a high storm, which is essentially a death sentence.
Upside down on the roof.
So Kaladin's punishment is carried out, but he miraculously survives the high storm. So what are your guys' thoughts?
Let's talk about that.
There's an amazing point, I think, at the beginning of this where Kaladin essentially knows I'm being sentenced to death. And his whole decision right there, I think, is so great to his character to say, you know what, this is a lose-lose situation for me. So I'm just gonna throw a die and be like, you know what, I'm gonna live through this. And everyone expects me to die, so it doesn't matter. Even if I die and I say that, it doesn't matter. It's what's expected. But he's kind of hinging on that possibility. There is this tiny 0.10% that I'm gonna live through this, but throwing that die, if I do, I am a legend. And he recognizes that right away. Lose, let's just throw something in there. If I lose, it still doesn't matter. It's expected. But if I make it, this is now going to be something that is just like, it's going to improve his legacy.
Yeah.
It's just going to make him a leader. And it is a gamble, which, again, goes a little bit against what the whole Alethi prophecy thing is. He just says, I'm going to take a gamble. I'm going to say, you guys are going to come out.
What he
I'm gonna
says
fucking open my
specifically,
eyes.
He says, "You tell those men." He tells it to Rock, right?
Yeah.
He's like, "You tell them to come out, then I'll open my eyes and something or
Yeah,
other."
Rock and Tef was the thing.
Yeah.
So I think Tef.
Tef gives him a sphere.
A
He
sphere.
does. I was gonna
Yes.
say, that's a very important detail, which I
So,
think Manny
yeah.
was really quick to catch on the fact that Kaladin seems to drain any of the spheres that he has.
He does.
Oh,
he
and
always
we-
like, I swear these spheres were light before.
Yeah, now they're always done.
and they're always
after
done
a bridge
after
run.
a bridge run.
And then, of course, there are arrows all around his bridge, like stuck to the bridge, not to him.
interesting. So
Yeah.
he clearly has something.
I don't think that he actually made a wager about surviving. He just said, I'm going to die regardless, so I'm going to give them hope by telling them I'm going to survive. to let
No,
them know
he
that there's
was
gonna be
taking a
hope.
gamble. He literally
I think,
said,
yeah.
if the
Like
what
a-
he even told
not
Syl, he
literally
said,
gambling.
in the one chance that I do make it out of here, I'm a miracle.
But exactly,
said
because
that.
he was gambling. He's like, you know what? If it's essentially a lose-lose situation for me. So I'm 99% chance gonna lose, and there's that tiny percent chance that I survive. So my options are, I tell him I'm gonna survive, and I lose. I still like it's what's expected. So nothing bad happens. Not necessarily nothing bad, but it's the same outcome. But by doing this like chance, like hey, I'm gonna survive this, and by throwing that out there, that 1% chance that it actually does happen, all of a sudden this is a big deal.
I think it's an important thing to
It will
note too.
cement all his men behind him.
Yeah, and the other thing is important to note is that his men were like, "It's okay, Kaladin. We are going to
Keep this
living.
up.
Like we'll do the stew. We'll live until we die."
Yeah.
So like that
He's
was a win.
already
changed them
and impacted them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So, but anyway, can you imagine? First of all, I'm trying to imagine being in a storm where you have this. You have one
Shackles.
sphere, sphere, and
Hanging
every
upside
time
down.
it absorbs the light, and you absorb it, and then you're injured, and you absorb it, and
Flailed.
you're just like, "Cha!"
Like a
it's
ragdoll.
like being essentially being a Wolverine, I guess.
Yeah.
Where you keep healing and keep getting damaged over the entire course of a storm. It's just like, and then the stupid sphere that Tef gives him keeps filling up with light, because he's in the middle of the storm. That's where they fill up on light. So he
Yeah.
just fills up, absorbs it, fills up, absorbs it, and then he's just getting his ass whooped.
But the entire time, he is just being battered and just he's like hanging on for dear life at all points in this, where
Yeah.
he's like flailing with. Originally, he's hanging upside down, and at a part, he is literally just flailing,
onto the roof.
lift up like right side
Where
up
he can walk
with
on
the
the
wind,
roof.
and he's just flailing, held only down by the cuffs on his ankles. Like that's all that's keeping him from getting tossed away in this storm.
He's just like a
So
flag.
that actually.
And he even blacks out at
Yeah.
one point as well.
So,
But he remembers to hold the
he
sphere.
holds the sphere. But let's talk about a few things that he sees during this.
During
so,
the blackout.
first of all, being in not just during the blackout,
in the storm, yeah.
in the storm itself seemed like
This is the first real intimate view we've
description.
gotten of the high storms.
Yeah.
and it's from a guy who's an insider, right? So we
Yeah.
get to see some interesting spren, some interesting things,
Yeah.
and then before the blackout, we get to see some other shit like a
It's like
giant,
a
giant
face.
a giant face in the
Stormfather.
The Stormfather, yeah. So the Stormfather is clearly a spren. Seems
Yeah.
like it, right?
It seems
I mean,
like
that
it.
is
Yeah.
like some
Yeah.
fucking real deal shit. So, because they all talk about him. Stormfather this, Stormfather that. Everybody
Generally
knows.
as a curse. He's kind of viewed as like a malevolent, devilish
Yeah.
type figure.
Well, the thing that's crazy too is like,
Is that true, or do they say like Stormfather protect me?
they do say Stormfather protect
I
me
think
too.
they say storm as a curse, like storm you,
Yes.
like F you.
It's kind of, I think it's the same thing as we would use like God damn it or
Yeah.
God. It's just like the same thing. So the Stormfather is clearly a very powerful figure. And so it's a curse and a blessing, both. And just like Sadeas strings him up to let the Stormfather judge him.
Right.
So,
Which is normally a death sentence for all other men.
also something, the fact that he lives is something that Sadeas now can't go and assassinate him because he let the Stormfather judge him.
They make it very known that if an accident was to befall Kaladin after he survives the high storm, it would lower Sadeas's credibility.
It would.
Yeah.
Rightfully so. I mean, all of the bridge crews would probably be like, what the F? Like, he survived. Why did you snuff him out? Like, this is BS. So, Kaladin survives. Did you guys want to talk a little bit more about the blackout that
Let's
he
do
had?
the vision.
The vision.
Now, in my reading, I thought that his vision actually happened before he blacked out.
Yeah, it happened before he blacked out.
And I'm almost positive it happened before he blacked out. He was running with the Stormfather, is what I interpreted from that. And
I just assumed it was all during the blackout.
because the Stormfather goes something like, "What are you doing? Men don't run
Well,
with the wind
the Oath
anymore."
Pact
There was
The
it
Oath
was
Pact
purely
is
dark.
broken.
So
Wonder
it's
if I
something
guess you're right.
that the Radiants
I don't know.
or the Hills
Yeah.
did. They made a pact that it.
So now we
He's
get
part of the
into this
pact.
Oath Pact again, right? The Oath Pact is broken. Men don't run with the wind anymore. Like that's back to the. Is that back to the Oath Pact? I think it probably.
I think it
It's
is.
something
It would
that
have to
Josh
be,
and
yeah.
I. This is something that Josh and I don't even have the goodies on. So
Well, when he was in the storm, he says when he was like ready to pass out, I think whenever he opened his eyes lightly, he would see Syl with her hands.
Oh, she's protecting him from the storm.
The storm.
Oh, I love Syl. She's
I know.
so amazing. Like in this like pure like white tiny form with her arms out,
Cheers
holding
to Syl.
back the storm.
A quick cheers to Syl.
Oh, so great.
So
all right. So basically, what we've got is.
You want more drink?
We've got these visions, right? Or maybe visions, right?
has
So
regular
he
color.
sees the face, and then he's with the storm, right? And we know the storms always go on the same path. They go east to west.
Yeah.
They travel over the land, and Kaladin is kind of with them in these visions. Before or during or while he's passed out, it's kind of hard to tell.
Very
right?
odd. Yeah, and the writing there was intentionally
Abstract.
a little misleading
Yes.
and abstract.
Yeah.
Agreed.
So, but he runs into a good buddy of ours, so we know it's not fake.
Yeah.
That's the second part after he survived the
This
storm.
is the second part. Yeah,
No?
this is a
Yeah,
second.
this is after the storm.
Oh, that was
Yeah.
the dream.
With
yeah,
Seth.
it was
That
a
didn't
dream.
happen during.
Yeah.
My bad.
Because he was in the storm, and then on the roof, he's kind of like passing out, and he goes into a dark place where
Right.
he doesn't feel any of his wounds or anything anymore. And he says he wants to talk, but then he thinks that he shouldn't break the silence, and then that's when he sees that dark
face.
figure
That's right. That's right. Sorry, guys. Sorry.
that's
Oh,
standing
for
there,
correcting
like
me.
smiling.
The smiling face. That's interesting.
Yeah.
That's
Why is it
interesting.
smiling?
I don't know. That's crazy.
because it's
And
happy.
then okay. So then, come on. Tell me.
answer, Brett.
Tell me the end of that chapter wasn't badass, right? So he doesn't have the
Yeah.
dream yet. I mixed those two up, so I apologize. But he survives the storm. His men come out. He basically looks dead as fuck.
Oh, he's
What
like
is-
in
shredded,
yeah,
scarred,
he's
up,
dead.
and they're like, oh, he's dead. And then his eyes just boom.
pop open,
open.
and the people like immediately. Who's the Rock is just like. Get him down! Get him back! Like, what are we doing? Everyone just like standing
Cut him
stunned. And this amazing point where it's just like, this is the death sentence.
Help him
And
down,
he
you
told
airsick
us
lowlander.
Help
that-
him down, you
yeah,
sick
that,
lowlanders.
We'll leave
that
his
whole
fate-
gamble he played beforehand, and this is where you like. This is where it pays off. Is that small chance that he actually lives, and it all of a sudden turns into this like there wasn't a 1 in 99 chance that he was going to survive it. He knew beforehand, even though from his perspective he didn't think he was going to survive. But now all of a sudden everyone thinks he knew he was going to survive it.
Right.
And this is destiny. This is means something.
Awesome.
Granted, it could have been totally chance. We probably know not totally chance because Kaladin is the main character. This is an amazing thing.
He's
But
got
he-
powers.
He got
like
that Stormlight.
that whole system now
Yeah.
just turns into like you are something that's
So,
important.
but then they cut him down, but then he's injured as
near
He's injured
death.
as hell.
Theft.
Teft.
Teft. realizes something's going on. And there's something about
the
Tef
sphere
too.
does not have
Stormlight,
even though he was just through a storm.
Yeah.
And then he thinks, oh, maybe this is.
So
He knows something about people
He
that
does.
can steal Stormlight. Or
So we don't know much about there. And here's a great part: is there are so many unique people that have these stories that. Is it chance that they happen to arrive there? But he knows something about them.
So
like Kaladin doesn't know.
And
Yeah.
Tef, they give us a little bit of inner monologue with him, and
Yeah.
he's like, I'm not sure I believe, but I want to believe.
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe, but I really want to believe.
So there is some indication that Teft has a
was part of an
background,
organization,
an organization.
and somehow he destroyed that organization.
Yeah.
and we know that he is the next
He
soldier.
left the organization, or he failed
said
it.
In his mind, he I agree with Ben. In his mind, in his dialogue, he blames himself for its downfall. Whatever, we don't know the details to that yet, so we're gonna get that.
But we know that he is an ex-soldier.
we know that he's an ex-soldier, and we know he's
Captain
trained,
type training.
and we
Right.
know that he knows what
I
shit
know
that
you
other
know.
people don't know. So anyway, Kaladin's injured as crap, and he's dying. Kaladin's actually also seeing death spren, and you only
so
see
crazy.
death spren
When you're
you're
die.
about to die. There's virtually. They say
Very
virtually, very few that come back from seeing death spren because
Yeah.
well, they're
Cor-
attracted to death.
correct me if I'm wrong, Minnie. This is when Kaladin has
That's
his
the
second.
dream.
That's when he
Yes,
has
right.
the dream.
And that's
When
where
he's inside the whatever the storm shelter.
Storm, yeah.
But
and he's traveling all
and
over.
you got to think though that the people and if he didn't set this whole culture up that we need to save the injured, he would have just been like, oh, like in a normal bridge crew, he's like near death. We're just gonna leave him out to die.
No,
Why would we protect him?
However, he claimed that he was going to live, so they can't just let him die.
Yeah,
now,
they can't.
'cause now they're curious.
But he's also got this culture that like we don't leave people behind.
Yeah.
Even if they're injured, everyone pools their resources and saves those people. So there's a bit of premonition there that if he didn't create that culture, they probably would have just been like, oh, he's essentially dead after high storm. We're just gonna leave him to die.
Yeah, nobody would have even
let's,
bothered checking on him.
But if he didn't bring that up, then he wouldn't have ever gotten them to train with him, and he wouldn't have been in that situation.
definitely.
exactly.
Yeah.
So let's taper back a tiny bit. I want to get your guys' feed on this, right? So Josh and I have kind of a little further ahead, and that's why I read it actually because I was ahead of you guys. That's why I stopped because I didn't want to get too far ahead, right? So your take on the dream. We run into in the dream. So basically what's happening is he's on the bed, he's recovering from the high storm shit, he's infected as garbage, he's seeing death spren, and Tef's just feeding
him Stormlight,
sphere.
essentially.
Basically replacing his spheres with lit
The dun
spheres
spheres.
because, well, Tef's ahead of the game, he knows what's up.
He knows
And,
something.
but wait. So that's when he's having the fever dreams. And I want to go around. I'm going to skip Josh and I, but I want to go around. I want to hit Brett and you guys.
Sure.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about it.
Could
Jump
you
on your.
refresh the fever dreams again?
All right,
Yeah.
go for it. Captain.
Fever dreams seem to be Kaladin pictures himself as himself, but he's almost following like a sort of divine entity, maybe like he's part of the storm itself, and he's seeing all this geography across Brandon Sanderson's world. He's seeing all these different cities. He's seeing, what the shattered
The whole
plains
shape
look
of the
like.
shattered plains,
Yeah,
which no one knows. Even now, they're just crude drawings of it.
Yeah, he sees all the geography. He's seeing all these different cities that could potentially be like in real time that he's viewing this stuff. And at the very end of that, he sees a palace in a very, very far away land. And he sees somebody assassinating a leader, potentially a high prince. And it's obviously Zeph because they say he's a bald guy with really big eyes.
Shen.
As he's a Shen. And also, very oddly enough, Seth seems to see Kaladin.
Yes.
And he, while he's finishing killing these guys, he looks over and
like,
sees
whoa,
whoa,
what the fuck?
Some divine forces over here. So Kaladin and Seth kind of see each other in mid-dream. And that was kind of the end of the dream. Kaladin does go back to his body, but before that, there's a voice that speaks to him that mentions a name specifically.
What did it say?
Odium.
Odium.
But he calls him child of Tanavis.
Right, Tanavis. Now, I could be totally wrong on this, but was Tanavis the name of the herald who they left behind
No.
in the beginning? Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
It says child of Tanavis, child of honor, child of one long since
So
departed.
this
Okay.
is
Someone
what's
died.
cool, and what you guys will start to really love, and we're going to talk a lot about this when we read more of Brandon Sanderson's books. But this gets to the Brandon Sanderson universe. So Brandon Sanderson, all of his books, and he is a machine with writing series. A machine. Most of them aren't going to be like this because this is what he views as his like
Creme de la creme.
yeah, creme de la creme. So it's going to be huge.
Resistance.
He says he's already got 10 books planned. And
Wow.
you know how that goes. When you
Yeah,
I got 3 books
opus.
planned, it turns into 7. So he's got 10 books planned. I don't know what
15.
it's going to be.
Because it's fantasy.
Yeah, because it's fantasy.
The genre of
Yeah.
fantasy is
So
guilty of that.
Yeah, so but wait, but his entire what do they call it? Shard sphere? What do they call this? His
The Stormlight?
No.
No, the entire
Brandon
universe,
Sanderson universe.
of all of Brandon Sanderson's books. And there are a
they
bit
tie
of
in.
reoccurring maybe characters and themes.
Yes.
So
Just
once
like
we
Stephen
get
King.
through,
Yes, just like Stephen King.
we may be able to
Very
touch
similar.
on this at book 2. Hopefully we can get to it, but there are some theories in terms of characters that cross the books of
Yes.
Brandon Sanderson. And it's very similar to, if anyone's read Stephen King books, it's very similar to what he's done with the
Tower
Dark Tower, where he tries
Stand.
Is
to
that just a Dark Tower though?
he tries to
It's
pull
more than the
in
Stand. It
his
goes into all his
entire book
Eyes of the
series
Dragon.
into yes, exactly.
It.
He tries to
the
pull in the
Dragon.
entire book series into this, saying there is a common theme through it, and we're seeing that Brandon Sanderson's either trying to follow this a little bit, or maybe doing the same type of thing where there are
So-
multiple characters.
Well, I
that
don't want to.
may
I don't want to
cross.
branch us off too much. It's a good point, Cherry. But I will say that I've read a lot of Brandon Sanderson's books. Not everyone has here yet, so we'll get there. But there's a cross pollination, but it's also different than King's. You guys will find out as we mature literature. But let's get back real quick. But that's a good point. I don't want to go too much because we're going to have these conversations at some time on another book. I know that. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to keep going. So we've got Kaladin Dream. Zeth sees him. We hear Odium for the first time.
Who is probably the dark figure that was smiling
and
at
that's
him.
a great thing though to kind of point out is if Seth sees him, then this might not be a hallucinogen dream, like a hallucination.
Right.
We need maybe a bit of confirmation from Zeth saying like I saw something during my last assassination attempt, but is this possibly alluding? This isn't hallucination. There is something going on beyond this.
But
the
what
other thing
two
is-
corpses though? Because Seth's massacre, like on
Found.
the prelude, was like a lot of people.
Yeah.
And then before that, it was just the king.
But it's not the prelude. I don't think he's
I
going
think it's
back in
real
time.
time. We
don't
This
know.
could
I
be
think it's
real
real
time
time.
because
I think
the
it's
guy
real
in
time
Dark
as well.
gave him a
When?
list of
You
people
know what I
to
mean? Like,
kill.
when?
We don't know. We don't know, bro.
Yeah, I think it was real time. I think he saw it as it was happening that he
Well-
was carrying out one of the assassins that
I think it's real time.
Assassinations.
I'd
Yeah.
like to point out that if you guys remember, Kaladin doesn't just wake up for this. His team realizes during a high storm,
Walking in
Kaladin gets up in his sleep, walks out the door towards the end of it, and they have to pull him
him
back
back.
in because he's shouting at the high storm in his sleep.
And
So
walking
he doesn't just
toward
wake
it.
up. So this
A
high
little
storm.
bit, maybe like Dalinar.
The only thing I was a little confused about with the timeline, like I was definitely pretty sure that it was real time, but then they did mention though that he was in white again though, didn't they? But he's not doing assassinations for the parchment anymore.
But no, I think they want him in white.
They want
to
him in
know, so they know that it's the same person.
Remember, the new owner wants all the leaders that the chaos to be caused by
quake
the
with
assassin
fear.
in white.
Gotcha.
So basically, he's going to be in white permanently now.
yeah.
yeah.
He's got a lot of people to kill.
Oh my
That's what
god!
it sounds like, man.
But also, let's talk about how Syl reacts
Yes,
when he
to
mentions the
Odium.
name Odium
Yeah, she hissed.
and runs and she hides.
Yes.
It's like a
I
cat.
imagine her getting I imagined her getting cat eyes for a second.
So
Yeah.
But here's
just
an
flies
interesting-
away in the mist.
Here's a really interesting thing though. So apparently this Odium seems bad, but the high storm, which is something that caused destruction across the entire land, isn't. It seems to be something that like, oh, no one's ran with me for thousands of years. Does that mean the Radiants used to? But why would the Radiants run through this destruction that like races across the land every couple days.
The reason that they have the high storm storm this is a curse, but it's also a deity that they trust to judge things.
Yeah,
so
and that's
they
an
view the high
interesting
storm as it's kind of like a cycle of rejuvenation. I feel similar to how we view fire,
washing out the bad
it is
stuff.
destructive. Yes, it is destructive,
But it's regenerative.
It's regenerative.
But it's so
as well.
interesting that
Yeah.
this all of a sudden we're from Syl even we're seeing that like we don't trust what he's talking about. We trust the actual entity that causes all this destruction as it flows through the world. So it's
But if you also
very
think about it, those high storms also recharge their light and energy,
magic.
which is what does their magic.
Well,
So,
right
great-
now it's their currency.
and
but
great
yeah,
point
clearly.
too. Does someone who can absorb that have unlimited power during a high storm? Are they ultimate? Is that their ultimate? Like, is this a source of like? If I'm in
That's
a
a
high
good
storm,
point.
I am immortal.
I'm
Like I can
Yeah.
fucking use
That's actually
absorb it
that's a
straight.
good point
And
because that's how Kaladin lived, right? Every time he just had one little sphere. He
But
just keeps.
Is there the
sucking it
possibility
out.
that eventually he doesn't need a sphere? He can just absorb it
Yeah.
directly from the high storm, so
I
he's
was gonna say,
immortal at
it
that
seems like
point.
he needs a sphere to absorb it from. This kind of absorb it from the air.
Directly from the storm, because the
If-
storm is putting it into that.
If
So
he could, then he would be like fine. Like he would walk out without a
Yeah, he would.
feel.
He would
Yeah,
have just
There's
showed
so
up.
much-
Yeah, exactly.
But he only had one sphere to heal that little amount.
but maybe he
Made him
can't
look-
control it enough
Hey,
yet.
yeah.
Is that going to be
I'm
something
gonna
that
keep
comes?
us going because we got a lot to talk still. But this is really.
Well,
good
wait, hold on.
Oh, okay, one more.
I'm so sorry.
No, go for it.
Along
Dream.
with Odium, the voice says like he is the worst of the 16. Who is the 16 that it's talking about?
So the Radiants or the Heralds were 10,
10.
right? So
Right.
there's 6 more?
I know the answer to this 16.
Well, 16.
But
the
it
most
has nothing
dangerous
to
of
do with
all the
this.
16.
Yeah,
I think it would be like who the heroes are fighting. I'm assuming.
So you think it's a Voidbringer?
I'm gonna tell you right now.
Possibly.
This has to do with Sanderson's universe, not necessarily this book. There's tidbits in here. That's what I've gotten. Those on the lines who have read other Sanderson books, you can feel free to open this in debate in comments, etc. But
Only if you agree with me.
Yeah, what I personally think is this has to do with Sanderson's universe, but I could be wrong because I don't know everything about the
Oh my
universe.
gosh.
So.
Also, like, sorry, a lot. This happening, I was focused on obviously Kaladin and all that, but it brought me back to thinking like, what do we not know about his parents?
Yeah, I wanted
backstory,
to-
bro.
I
Whose
wanted to-
parents?
Kaladin.
We finally get most
How
of
did
his
he get
backstory,
this
right?
power? You know what I mean? Like,
So
Yeah.
something with his parents had to have happened.
that's a great point. And Captain, I know you're going to take over real quick, but we need to talk a lot about this backstory.
All right,
go for it, Captain.
Yeah, we
Go
do.
for it.
Yeah, we get a ton of backstory in Kaladin in part 3, a boatload. And we get to see pretty much all of his past. The only section that is kind of glossed over is Tian's death, Kaladin's brother. But
yeah.
everything else is very, very much described and given to us. Particularly the sections with Kaladin's parents are pretty important to him, obviously. Kaladin's father, in particular, who wanted him to be a surgeon, plays a very unique role because that started Kaladin's whole hatred for the Light Eyes because a new lord shows up to Hearthstone, Rashon, and he is laying down the law, being an asshole, especially to Kaladin's father, Lyrin.
Because of those spheres.
Yeah, there's a very interesting section.
Substantial sum of money.
A substantial sum of money indeed. Lyrin, before the old town leader died, Lyrin actually embezzled that money because he felt that that if the ruler was in his right mind, he would have given that money to Kaladin,
And that's
as
actually
he
a
said
fair
he
point.
would have.
It's a fair point because he had said
And
that.
it
He said he
seems that
would
there's
have.
a good relationship. So we have a bit of a
Yeah.
doubt there, but there's
Right.
the possibility that would have actually happened.
Right, and there was one scene where Lyrin is just absolutely like a moral a shining moral boss when like all of the other townspeople
The thieves.
they come to rob his house, and
he's
Lyran
like-
just walks outside.
Like, you
He's
got
like,
limp.
You're really gonna
I
rob?
saved your daughter.
Yeah.
I saved you when you did this.
You're really gonna rob the doctor who saved all your lives? Go ahead, you assholes.
It's important to
Rob
note
me.
that he doesn't charge for anything.
Right,
So he only
right.
lives off of donations and his wife's meager funds from her day job.
Yeah.
Cleaning creme
Yeah. Yes, exactly,
off
maybe.
houses.
Exactly.
So
But-
I think that installs
yeah.
a bit of that whole honor system that Kaladin holds
Yeah.
so dear.
time.
Even though
Big time.
we know from the flashbacks that there's a bit of a rebellion to that.
There
like,
is.
why are you not? Like, you're saving people's lives. Why are we not getting money for this?
Yeah.
Why are you even trying to save this person who's been horrible to us? There's that whole struggle, but his father, and you start to understand why Kaladin's so honorable, that it's like, we even though we're misunderstood, we need to do this.
You get
This
a
is
little
how-
bit of Kaladin. Lyran seems like a really interesting character because he clearly married his wife, who was at a higher station than maybe he was, and then
She came down a little bit.
she came down to marry him,
For him.
and he brought her back here. And in a way, he talks drunkenly occasionally, not as drunk as he appears, but drunkenly. And he talks about how he may regret that. Like, I should have never brought her back here. We should have never come back to this
village.
shithole. But then at the same time, he feels like this is what his calling is, to save these people. It's really interesting. And Kaladin's parents are kind of a gem to what he becomes.
Exactly.
Because they kind of are, he gets all of his best attributes from both his mother and his father in this case.
Yeah.
And then he balances them out in a different way than I think either of them do, clearly.
And a bit of a divergence from the typical hero story. As far as we know, his parents are still alive.
Oh, they're still alive.
And he takes a totally. Usually, typical heroic stories is they say the father or
good.
parents need to die in order for the hero to have a reason
need
to
to-
leave.
right,
But
they need to be removed
offer.
from
But he
the
did lose a
story.
brother.
He lost a brother, but they offer an entirely
he
different
didn't-
reason
Yeah.
because he leaves even though his brother is still alive. He finds a reason to say, I have to go out into the world without this whole, like, I've got nothing left for me here.
Yeah, that's the main character in every other
Yeah.
fantasy story, pretty much.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, that was extremely refreshing to
Unique
see
and
that.
very
Yeah.
refreshing.
But-
that
yeah.
it's like, it's a difficult decision still for him because he has a parent and he has parents that he's now abandoning or leaving, but he's doing it for a brother.
Yeah.
So he's like,
Well,
I'm going to leave.
And then when he left, it was
It's hard, disheartening.
I was so disappointed by his father.
Yes.
Because he's like, I'm gonna go and protect Tien, and his father's like, no, both my sons are lost to me.
yeah. Oh,
And he just runs away, and then
I'm not
He knew, though.
disappointed in him.
I think that
I-
Lyran knew because even though he knew that this promise of making Tien be a messenger boy,
Oh, a carpenter.
a carpenter. No, not carpenter. When he got
Oh, as a ladder carrier.
Yeah,
or
they're like,
something.
just
but
make him.
still, it
he
seems that
knew, he
Lyran
knew.
is a little bit like, I'm willing to lose one son. Like, and
He was
that
no,
son.
but you got to remember. You got to remember
Lyran-
back in the day.
that's a bit
I'm not gonna
hard
say,
on him.
No, I'm not gonna say he wanted to lose them or he was willing
But he-
to, but he knew like the reason
He
you have kids back in the
accepted
day.
it.
You know that you might lose some because that's how the
Yeah.
atmosphere of the
but it's
society.
still a little bit harsh.
I think regardless of that, actually, he is a very intelligent man, and he knows the laws, and he knows that this is a loop that Rashon made to get hit back at him.
Yep.
So he knows I'm losing a son.
He's
it's
losing
a fact.
a son.
Yeah,
I don't want to lose both.
Yeah,
But it's still
It's
a bit
not-
of a,
it's
for
not a bad
Kaladin,
thing.
and this is a bit on for the honor thing, maybe a bit towards his mother on this side where he's like, that's not acceptable. I don't care what plans you have for me. Like, my younger brother is the one that I'm, like, I need to protect. And that shows towards Kaladin's honor system and
Yeah.
towards his whole
Guys,
belief system.
it's just his father was just like done with him, like, oh, they're gone. And maybe he thought it wasn't coming back, but I don't see a reason to say that as you're departing
that
the
showed.
woods
I think
to your
that
son.
did show, but you got to admit the
And it's like,
timing,
oh.
the emotion. Basically, what happened is the High Lord that he was battling
Yeah.
against and winning against beat him.
Well,
That was a weakness on his part.
Yeah.
I agree with you.
But the thing is, like, then
could come back. You
Kaladin
never know.
fails, and he feels like he can't go back home. It's like, oh, it's over. I'm just gonna stand on me.
you're right. He could have said, "Son, do your best. Just come
Come
back. To
back."
me."
Yeah.
But you know what?
I
though?
think also it was Kaladin's decision not to come back because
It was.
when Kaladin
He felt like bad about
failed,
it.
when Kaladin failed to defend Tien, he's just like, I don't even. There's no point in me going back. What am I just gonna? I'm just gonna go back and be
To
a
my
failure to my
family?
family.
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
that. I'm just
exactly.
gonna stay a soldier.
And
But also, we know Kaladin has an affinity to fighting and using a spear.
clearly
His
a-
father,
Blessed.
father does
He
not
has a
know
draw
that.
to
right.
it.
So his father's thinking both of my sons are not adequate for war. They're gonna die.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I can see that.
that's true too.
Now, I mean, Kaladin, we already see. I mean, towards the end of it, we find out the basically the ending of what we started in the first chapter. We finally find it out.
Yeah, we got to have time to talk about that as we're getting towards the end.
Now,
We do.
don't worry because we're going to go a little longer, but than 5, so it's okay. But we're going to finish this shortly, so we do want to move through. But it is important to note that, I mean, Kaladin, through you kind of get a learning about his past. I feel like it ties us into the choices that he's making as a bridge leader, basically.
I feel like it's really cool the way that his story is unfolding because there's so many things that I thought happened for a reason just because of the way the story is where we're present day Kaladin, but things happened opposite of what I expected.
What you would have wanted.
And I was just like, whoa, that's so weird. Like, I thought he made up his mind to go become a soldier instead of a surgeon, when in fact he made up his mind to go as a surgeon, but was forced to become
A soldier to save his brother.
Like, stuff like that. Or even, like, what we're getting at to the point where he beat the shard bearer and was...
Yeah. Let's talk about
betrayed.
that for a second.
But I thought maybe he lost to the shard bearer, and then that's why
He's a slave.
Like, it's crazy. Like, I don't know. His story is so unique.
So something about his character, or maybe something else even deeper, but like he fought a shard bearer in combat without shards.
Not even a shard bearer, just a shard bearer. Also
And
an armor or
Shard armor.
A full plate shard bearer and plate mail guy.
Yeah.
And he offed him. There is not an understatement.
Literally,
to
they
how
have lore
fucking
about
awesome.
this, and maybe some of it's made up just to keep the dark guys in their positions, but there is total lore of this. This is like happened a few times in history, and you like all of a sudden now it's happening by this character that we're introduced to.
So this, I am so pumped for episodes from now when we're on book 2. Keep this shit in mind.
Or the end of books.
Holy shit! Just keep it in mind.
Yeah, so let's just say that Kaladin, we are very happy to add you to Team TDH.
Cheers.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let these bastards
Yeah.
cheer this
I'd
shit
say
away.
when he beat that Shabba, and then in the heat of the moment, he's like, I don't want to give it to my men.
Give it to my man.
But even afterwards, he doesn't want it.
Yeah, even afterwards. The thing is, like, he's all about, like, protecting his group, his soldiers.
Yeah.
And that would have been, like, the ultimate protection
That
for
was
his soldiers.
very
I
simple.
He would
agree with
become
you.
a light eyes.
agree. We
But-
couldn't do it.
But he's
thing
taking
is-
the exact same thing that killed all
his
of
men.
his
Yeah.
men.
But
so
it's Ben, I saw
it's
your
tarnished
point.
to him.
I saw your point because in my mind, I'm like, if you take it, you could protect all of your men.
Yeah.
You were immediately able to protect it, but you're right. He has to take the weapon
yeah.
that murdered them.
The thing
to
is,
do it.
also,
That
like, I don't actually
weapon didn't
believe-
murder them though. The person wielding
The
that
guy
weapon
did
murdered
exactly.
But using the power of
we're
something.
slipping into gun
Yeah.
control territory now.
And just like you said, Brett, the weapon didn't kill him. It was the person, and that person was a light ass, which is what he would become if he
No,
took
the
that
thing
weapon.
is-
No, that's
I don't-
what the rumor says.
I don't
he
think
would
that's
become.
true. Like, I don't think
But you believe the rumors if you believe everything else.
But there,
That's the belief of the world.
no one knows because no one has any first-hand knowledge of this ever happening.
But that's the
But
belief.
I don't think it would happen. And
I don't think it would happen either.
I don't know either.
Personally.
I don't know either, but that's his belief.
but
And
even if he
he-
does become a light eyes, like who cares?
He does. He hates
So-
them.
So I mean, but I think that
I wouldn't
is
want to become
a-
something I hate.
I think that's a
But you can
personality
protect all of your
flaw.
men and everything.
I mean,
No.
like, if,
I don't know. It would have been hard if I cared that much about my men. Well, the thing is that he actually thought that this guy was honorable.
Exactly.
So he thought, I'm
Amarin.
going to give it to my homie, and my homie's going to be the Light Eyes, but I'll probably, because he'll love me for it, still be his commander. If I were Kaladin, I would have done the same thing. If I really didn't want it, maybe he doesn't want it, right? Like I wouldn't want it. I would probably want it because I'm nice. Yeah. I'm not that way, but let's say that he doesn't. He really truly doesn't want it. He gives it to his men. I would give my armor to my one guy and the sword to another, and I'd have two badass fucking bastard men.
Because I'm too much of a badass. I don't even need that.
I don't
shit.
even fucking
Yeah.
need that shit.
Hell
I could
yeah.
kill shard holders with nothing. So what I'm saying is, though, he kind of thought that his commander in chief or his general Amaran was actually going to be honorable.
He was the only Light Eyes that he actually still had faith in or
Yeah.
did not hate.
But
For the wrong true to his character. He's very true to his character, which I'm very happy about. It was very consistent to his character.
you're right. So that's the one thing I got to say about Sanderson in this book, and I'm going to bring this up right now. I get frustrated as all hell when I'm reading a book and then a character does something to spur the storyline on, but I feel like it made no sense for their personality. In this case, it doesn't surprise me that Kaladin did that, whether I agree with it or not. But it just doesn't.
Yeah.
It's just his goddamn personality. It is.
We can really push back towards that whole conversation we had earlier. Do the ends justify the means? Because Amarin is like, granted, he's supposed to be the honorable man, but when you think about it, even in common times, who's going to be the one who you want to protect the most with something like a shard blade and shard armor? Well, the leader, because they can inspire way more people. So is there almost like the same type of argument going on
Well,
where
that was
Amarin
Amarin.
is
That was-
making the better decision by saying, okay, giving this to Elida is one thing, but I'm the general who leads thousands of people versus one person who leads 15, a company of 20.
Here's the problem, though. Here's the thing. It's exactly right. It's a great point because Amaran's entire justification for taking it was that I'm going to protect so many people.
I will protect
But even he
more
doesn't
people.
believe that, which is why he's hesitant or
Yes.
why he is
It's
like.
his
But
eyes.
no, he
Exactly.
knows it's a hard decision.
No, he
But
doesn't
he's
believe it.
still he's going towards the ends are what's going to justify my decision.
I think it's greed, and that's what him to. But he believes it too.
Justification. Both.
Yeah, but
It's
it can
both,
be a
but-
blind justification. But he's going off of the assumption the ends. By me having this shard blade, I'm already a Light Eyes. I've already got this power. I can make more of a difference than giving it to a Dark Eyes and doing the same.
No.
No, I know.
Yeah, I understand.
He's
Amaranth's-
trash.
Yeah.
No,
yeah,
he's
I agree.
making-
He literally says,
He's-
I can't have 4 people telling others that a Dark Eyes did better than I did.
Yeah.
But he's trash.
Not necessarily.
No, that's not
If
what he
you
says.
Think about it. What
I-
does Amaran? He's a general who leads
No,
thousands.
he's a general
Okay.
that was left behind
Right,
on
right,
the Shatter,
right.
not
All right.
going to the Shatter Plane. He's
All
a
right.
low-ranking general.
I understand Amaranth's point of view. I think we all, especially everyone, understands Amaranth's point of view. But I think ultimately, if you just take a step back, his point of view is extremely short-sighted, narrow-minded, and small.
Well, it's driven by greed.
Because he's whether or not he has the shard blade or his one of his soldiers does makes very little difference. What he's doing there is just petty border disputes that doesn't make a difference for any other country for the Alethi nation whatsoever. If one of his men had the sword, it would be an equal morale boost saying, "Join my army. One of my guys got a
No,
shard
but here's
blade.
here's
We're
what
gonna kick
he
ass."
here's the thing though. Here's the sight that he has. He's gonna go now that you don't have the fact that a shard bearer came on this battlefield is weird because the shard bearers
very
aren't there.
uncommon.
They couldn't even recognize who the Shard Bearer was.
Yeah, they were trying to figure out who the
couldn't.
hell it was.
So the reality is that a shard bearer is going to go to the Shattered Blades.
Yeah.
exactly.
So
yeah.
guess where Amaran's going? He's not going to be on border
Shattered
disputes
Blade.
anymore because that's fake shit that all like weak people do.
But also, look, he says, what did he say to him? And when news got around to camp that you'd killed the Shard Bearer, but I had the shards, nobody would believe that you gave them to me by free choice.
That-
you wouldn't
I
have let me
understand
keep
that.
them. You'd have changed your mind in a day or two. You'd wanted them back
Which
for
is
the
probably
prestige and
true.
wealth. You'd
That
have
is-
demanded that I return them to
probably
you.
true.
I took hours to decide, but he's right. Blah 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 blah. No.
No,
he
no,
needed to,
that's totally
He needed
right.
to talk to somebody else about it because he knew it was not the right. He knew that it was not morally.
No, but maybe he needed to be goaded into that decision.
It just felt like he was made that decision because of the other guy. Like he was
I mean,
hesitant to do it,
but-
and the other guy's like, "No, you got to do this."
You got to think about it a little bit like.
The
all right,
Arvid- the
think about
Arvid
it
was
as
there
the
like, "You gotta do
keys
this."
right now.
He
think
had the
about it
stake. He was hating the
our
the
current
slave
terms.
brand up.
Think about it of giving the nuclear code keys to a guy who just happened to kill an enemy general. Like, holy crap, that's a shit ton of power just because you happen to kill someone.
No,
like,
but that's-
does that
that's-
mean that
yeah.
you should have
In their culture,
Yeah,
it
it
the
is.
keys to kill thousands?
In their culture, it is.
Maybe in their culture, but still,
Yeah.
as a general,
I think in
you
their-
gotta think.
In their culture, it is too. That
If
guy
we're
earned-
putting it, if
that
we're
guy
putting it
earned that
into
kill.
live, if we're putting it into this perspective, into our world now, I'm intelligent enough to beat somebody that is already better equipped than I am. I fucking deserve
But
it.
as a
yeah.
general-
Okay, guys,
I
but
agree.
you're
I
missing an
agree.
important point. You're missing one important point, which is Kaladin is the one that started this situation. He's the one that allowed for alternative points of view to start being able to come in and corrupt the situation. If he would have just
Exactly.
taken it, he would have got it. That's the law.
Right, yeah.
That's
Also,
the rule.
if he would have
It's
taken it-
not Kaladin's
true.
right.
No.
That is he gets it because he's the one that killed him. If he would have taken it,
actually,
he would have been
could have
fine.
taken it on the battlefield.
and be fine.
Good
If he
point.
did, it'll be fine. But it's also his to give away.
It
Yes,
is.
exactly. That's what I was going to say, Ben.
It
He
is.
could have literally taken it, absorbed it, and given it willingly to his men.
Yeah,
He did give it to somebody, and it's
No. But what I'm
He
saying
left
is
it there.
he could have taken it and
He didn't want to
given
touch it at
but
that
he
point.
did not want to
It was
touch it.
tarnished.
But
And
even
his men, he should have waited till his men touched
But
it.
you gotta think about it. Even if he took it, would that have changed anything? Would Airmen still have stepped in
Yeah.
and been like, "Come in," and
You know what?
killed
though?
him?
If he let his men grab
He couldn't
that
have.
sword
He would have had a
there,
shard
then, his men would have had a shard blade.
No,
to
but
summon.
he would
So
have
that
had a
wouldn't have
shard
happened.
blade, but the shard blade isn't attuned to him. So I think there still would have
But
been an
no.
opportunity for that to get stolen.
But what we know now about shard blades at this point in the series is that they respond to you, and
10
we
seconds.
know 10
10
seconds,
heartbeats.
and we know that's it. We know they bond to you.
yeah,
You're right.
But
we don't know.
Even though if
the
Amarim
system.
would have been like,
You may
"Hey,
know some more,
we
but
need
we
to talk
don't.
about
I
this," you know what they
don't.
would have
You
just
don't
done?
know.
They would have brought him in. He would have sat down and then would have just slit his throat from behind. It wouldn't have necessarily changed anything. just
Yeah,
because-
like-
Well,
Might not
let's
have.
say this. Either way,
It would
It's a
have. Because
shitty
we walked
situation.
Back to camp
Yeah.
with
but
that,
we can all
Yeah.
believe that
Everyone wants to see it,
Kaladin
and
would
then
have
he could've
actually
done it.
done this. So that's a win.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Well,
I'm gonna.
what Josh was saying, it wouldn't have changed anything if Kaladin picked it up and walked back to camp, or if his soldiers picked it up and walked back to camp. Everyone would have seen them
Seen
with the
it.
sharp blade,
Witness.
with the armor.
Yeah.
Because right now there was no witnesses, and that's why they're able to get away with it.
Yep.
Right.
That's the thing. But all the same, this is what makes Kaladin Kaladin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And,
Grabbing that shard blade would
yeah.
make him a light eyes in his eyes, and
In
he
his
said,
eyes.
"No, not happening."
So we got to understand that, but that is a deep, hard
Hatred.
hard
For good
lesson.
reason.
Yeah. So that actually brings us up to Kaladin's hatred of Light Eyes.
Totally reasonable.
And Kaladin has an interesting scenario while he's brooding his survival of the high storm and the fact that they're all bait, walking through the city and running into Adolin.
The demon. So let me just quickly summarize this scene. Kaladin's just taking a walk like his old man used to do, clearing his thoughts, doing some thinking, trying to figure out a way to save Bridge 4 despite all of the Superior's attempts to keep them down and just keep them as bait.
And now he knows
And
they're
he
bait.
he knows they're bait. He recognizes that full force. He's just kind of taking a stroll through town, doing some thinking, and he comes across a very lowly, dark-eyed officer in Sadius's army.
Light-eyed.
Or light-eyed, yeah.
Yes.
And he boots. This guy's immediately a scumbag. He boots a prostitute out of a brothel and is saying that he doesn't have to pay because his reputation should be payment enough for her.
Yeah.
And she's like, no, like I did my service. Give me money. And so there's a bit of a scuffle. Kaladin's about to intervene, but a bright-eyed guy wearing Dalinar's army's
Uniform.
clothing strolls right up.
3 of them, I think, right?
Three of them stroll up, and he says, "Hey, you should leave that lady alone. Like, let's work this out." The guy's being an asshole. So Adolin says, "Hey, let's just solve this." He extends his hand. The guy spits at him. So Adolin is like, "Oh, is that how it is?" So he starts.
By the
summoning his
way,
Shardblade.
my calling is dueling.
Yeah. So that's how it's gonna be. So he starts summoning his Shardblade, and the guy immediately cowers away. He runs back into the brothel.
He does
locks the door
summon
behind
it,
him.
actually. And he summons it in the middle of the street.
Yeah. And so Adolin, we know Adolin is a very virtuous warrior from part 2. He helps the prostitute up to her feet and says, try to avoid this camp. This camp is full of assholes. Just go somewhere else.
But you
And,
also know that he's a charmer and loves women, so.
Exactly. He is.
Yes.
He is. And he's like, "Oh, I was supposed to meet somebody here, but I'm probably not going to make it because I need to escort this prostitute back to safety." That takes precedence over all of this political mumbo jumbo that I have to deal with.
Yeah.
And he's being virtuous. He's not going to do anything.
But it is true. This political
offers,
mumbo
though,
jumbo.
Yeah.
You can tell where his priorities.
Yeah,
Right.
it's funny because
Right.
she offers like, "Oh, we can have sex for free,"
And he said
he's like,
no.
"No, my father would kill me."
Right.
Not that he wanted it; it's just his father would kill
He
him.
did say that. He did say he goes,
Right.
"No, my dad would be pissed." That's
Right.
literally hilarious. That's so funny.
And so Adolin's like, "Oh, I need to tell these people that I need to cancel this meeting." So he looks around, and Kaladin's one of the only people who actually witnessed the fight. So he flips him an emerald chit, which is worth like 3 or 4 weeks of payment for
a soldier.
For a soldier, yeah.
And then he's a slave.
Flips him an emerald chip, and he's like, "Hey, go tell so and so I'm not going to make the meeting." He strolls off, and Kaladin kind of considers it. He's like, "Well, that Light Eyes did protect he did the right thing. He confronted those jerk ass officers and protected this prostitute."
Man,
and
he
he's
has other
like,
motives.
"You know what? He's a Light Eyes." And he also didn't agree that he didn't confirm that I would agree to this. So screw him. Kaladin doesn't do it.
Yeah, because he's like,
what
he
the
didn't
heck?
ask me. He just
I don't know
assumed
this
that I
guy's
would.
shit. I don't know this guy's shit.
And that's what I think. Like, first of all, he's a soldier. Someone put him like a soldier and a slave. It's hard to say. So like, your commanding officer of the army tells you to do something, you can do it. It's just like asking for trouble.
It is. And you brought up a good point earlier, Hitman, that eventually at some point, Adolin and Kaladin will probably reunite at some point in the book. And if Adolin remembers Kaladin, he's probably not going to be happy that he
Give me my goddamn emerald chip back, you dick.
Exactly. That he just blatantly ignored it. But I mean, I totally see Kaladin's point of view, why he did that. But at the same time, I was like, dang it, Kaladin, that was kind of a jerk move, man. The guy,
Yeah. I mean, Kaladin in general, to me, he keeps making, in my opinion, really bad decisions. Like, I think he has great intentions. I think he is a good soul. I think he's a good person. He kind of reminds me a little bit of Ned Stark. Like, I think he wants to do the right thing, but he's stupid about it sometimes.
Yeah.
And
But without the
he's just-
consequences
he's just
of
like
Ned
asking
Stark.
for trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. There have really only been 2 decisions that Kaladin made that I wasn't a fan of. This was one of them, and the other one was his decision to leave the Shardblade behind, which we already discussed. All the other decisions, I mean, those are crucial decisions.
Well, also
the Shardblade one.
some of his goals I feel are just outlandish. He's like, "Oh, my new goal is no one's gonna die in Veg 4. No one's gonna die in my regiment." And like, this is a war,
But how do you? But as a leader, should you accept? Oh, I know people are gonna die, or should you strive for no one to die and just?
Yeah.
If it happens,
Yeah,
you still.
I agree. I think
Yeah.
you need to make your goals outlandish, but you have
Yeah.
to be willing to accept that might not happen.
Which is
And
why
he
he
seems
maybe
to
struggle.
be
He
doing
struggles.
that.
As a follower, I would want to follow the guy who's promises to protect everybody, rather than
Right.
the guy who's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do a good job.
But he
and save
struggles
somebody.
with that. He struggles because he believes it so
believes
fully.
that he can protect everyone.
Yeah,
Like,
which is to
A
his
bit
own,
of a flaw.
Yeah.
the thing is, like, he's not gonna leave someone behind if he was a soldier.
And
or
that's
whatnot.
okay.
But
That's acceptable.
People are-
That's
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
but-
Hey,
Right.
something
You need to
I want
realize
to bring
that
back
it's
up,
not possible.
talking about protecting people. I want to bring back up like Adolin and Dalinar's method of running, charging ahead of their men in their plate,
yes.
to like save people. It's really kind of interesting because I feel that Kaladin fits that mold extremely well.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That
Yeah.
whole he's kind of like
Big
Rock.
time.
Get
Well, he
in the
did the
back.
same thing,
I'm
yeah.
going in the
He
front.
did.
Yeah. Also, let's not forget to mention that Rock is such a badass motherfucker.
Rock is
Come
off.
on, hey,
Agreed.
guys, those of you listening, wait, we're gonna do this together. We all need to cheers to Rock.
to rock.
To rock.
And you, the rest of us, air sick lowlanders.
Air sick lowlanders are foolish.
I don't know about all of you, but I keep on every single time I think of Rock, I think of
Rockley.
Moana,
Yes.
and I think of Dwayne
Dwayne the Rock
Johnson's
Johnson.
character. Yeah. So that is what I think of. Like he's just a
Interesting.
big
Yeah.
dark guy.
Hawaiian
like,
dude.
that's
You
got
know
it.
what's hilarious is he's described as having vibrant red hair.
Right, which totally goes against the Hawaiian
Against it.
vibe.
So it really makes a strange view in my mind because I picture like a giant islander with vibrant ginger hair.
You know,
and then I'm
who's
like,
like that is Waka from FF10.
yeah,
So maybe Rock is like
yeah,
Waka.
man.
yeah, maybe Rock's like walking. The other thing I was thinking of is like, could he be like, the giant guy in Game of Thrones, like the big,
Oh,
the
right.
mountain
Yeah. Yeah.
guy? But the just the their culture and their like, it's mountain instead of island, but it
Yeah.
feels like island.
Yeah, it does. It does. It totally
You're talking
does.
about the wild folks.
Yes.
The wild.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
So like I'm like he's got
Torrent Giants band.
Yeah, Torrent Giants
Yeah.
band. That's it. So I feel like it could be, but man, he's an interesting character.
Yeah.
So I feel that Kaladin's bridge crew, he's got a unique band.
He does.
And it's
So-
a bit convenient for the story of him because there seem to be people who have a little bit of knowledge about some stuff, and there seem to be people who are really going to help him move forward, or at least create the ideal bridge crew.
On that exact same point, there's just a really, really quick point that I want to bring up. It's not going to take long.
Nope, we're doing a Brett bet on this. I know.
Oh, awesome. All right, there is one character, because Kaladin's crew is growing as the story progresses. He gains only a few recruits at a time, because that's all he's allowed.
Injured people.
But he does gain a one-armed character by the name of...
The Parshman?
no, not the Parshman, the guy before...
Lupin.
The Bard?
You know, he's the guy who's like, oh, sure thing, Gonjo.
With a very small arm. He's like missing an entire arm. He's got a stub.
Yeah, I really like that character, but I'm really afraid that he's gonna be a traitor. I'm seeing some red flags that puts Lopin in traitor territory.
So Gonjo, seem like you're special and I'm special too. You should take me over anybody else.
Yeah, I really like his character, but I'm seeing some red flags that he could be a potential
right.
traitor.
I think that we need a Brett bet on this.
All right, awesome. I'm willing.
All right.
Is Lopin fully committed?
I would like to point out a
Kaladin.
few things here before this bet goes. I would like to point out that he was pretty awesome. His attitude was
He's a
pretty
very
awesome. His first bridge
nonchalant-
run. He dragged a lot of water down. He seems to volunteer for any job
does.
that Kaladin needs him to do. And his attitude's always pretty stellar.
But that's
So-
a bit of a red flag.
In and
You're
itself.
too great. We know some shit's
Wait a
up.
minute, but before we make this bet, elaborate on how you think he's a traitor.
Yeah, the red flags that I'm seeing.
Well, who would be the person that sent him in there, or why what is his agenda, I guess.
I think there's plenty of enemies against Kaladin right now, so there's no shortage of people
Any
who could
light
have hired him. Yeah, I mean the new because
Kaladin selected him, remember?
because Laurel got killed, which we already covered in the last discussion.
Wait, did he
he's
pick up
replaced-
Lopin before that though, or after that?
No, it was before because Lopin was bringing the water
He
when they were
picked him
doing
up
that last
before,
race.
yeah.
Yeah, the only
it
person that he
was.
picked
It
up
was
was the Parchment.
Okay,
Yeah, the Parchman was
Post-
after.
Post that.
Parchman,
Well, no, he didn't pick him up. He was given him.
Yeah.
He was
Right.
given.
Right.
By the new
by the new
likeness.
Palanquin riding.
Yes.
But yeah, to elaborate, some of the red flags that I'm seeing on him, and it might be a very low character, but he reacted like an immediate like racist point of view when the Parchman was hired. He's like, oh, I don't trust that dude, Ganjo. It's like
I don't trust that Parchman, Ganjo.
Yeah, to his credit, pretty much everyone else in Kaladin's squad had that same reaction.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he called it out just kind of just stuck in my mind. Like, all right, I'm gonna put a pin in that.
Okay,
And,
okay.
And he's just got an extremely nonchalant attitude, despite all of the horror that's going around them, which is great for him if he's on the level. That's
Well, remember, he
that's
doesn't
awesome.
actually run the bridge.
He doesn't.
Yeah.
He doesn't. Yeah, he just
Carries the water.
he carries the water.
So he's at no risk.
yeah, he's at no risk.
So maybe
not
he's just
no
trying to
risk,
stay
but
good with the leader.
a
Because
lot
he knows
less
that'll
risk.
keep him in.
Yeah.
So that's interesting.
There was just some red flags to
Okay.
me. That's all.
So our Brett bet is going to be: do we think that
Lopin
is a good
traitor.
guy or a traitor? What's the bard's name?
Oh, is it something with a D?
What?
No.
Oh, the singer.
Yeah, the singer.
guy that
kid.
sings.
The
Something with a
kid.
D.
Yeah.
Dunny or
Dunny?
Is it
Dunny.
Dunny?
Is it
Dunny.
Dunny?
Yeah, it's Dunny.
I think
That's
it's
it.
Dunny.
Dunny.
Didn't he die?
Hey, Dunny.
No, I don't think Dunny died. He's the bard
singer?
guy. Yeah, right there, Dunny.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Dunny?
Captain Dunny.
That's later.
Dunny.
Dunny
He's the
died?
bard,
Dunny
yeah.
don't die?
No,
Dunny can
Dunny's
sing.
fine.
No, he didn't.
He's fine.
Dunny's singing.
Yeah.
Dunny sings.
Yeah.
And also
In
Dunny.
in the chasm, that
Yeah,
guy.
Dunny also is one of the first to lead to
join.
join over. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Well, he
curious.
just walks up close.
He's very curious.
Well, and then he
Kaladin
joined.
pulls him in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we doing
So-
this?
He was
Okay.
all in after that.
We're doing it. Brett, you're on number one.
This is for Lopin.
Yep.
I think Andrew makes a very good case, but I'm going to say that at least for now, I feel like he's going to be part of their crew for a long time. I think he's going to be a big character.
Cool. I hope he is.
Not a main character, but I think he's going to be a part of their crew for a while and possibly be kind of important. They seem like I feel like he's setting him up to be somebody cool.
For the record, I don't want him to be a traitor. I'm just saying.
But
So
I could
we-
definitely. I'm not gonna be surprised if he is a traitor. I'm gonna be like, yeah, that makes sense too.
I'm going to give you some flavor. We were debating, but we will stay out of this.
Oh, you guys know.
But that means that there's a
This is
certain
definitely an
timeline that
answer.
this may be. This means no.
The door will just be open.
No. What this means
What it
is
means, you should not say stuff like that.
no. Listen. What it means is we may have to revisit this. Interestingly.
At the end of book 2.
Okay.
All right, well, continue.
have-
Take bets.
Yeah. Ben, you're next.
I can't
Hit
say
me.
like certain things, so I just want to wait. It's more,
So maybe we should say that after we make our bets.
No. I want you to hear this. Hey, dude, if you got into doing push-ups, I get to laugh.
I'm still thinking about the way I originally thought as no, he's not a traitor.
Oh, damn.
Even though Jeff Sankman was saying he's a traitor.
All right. Well,
Is that what it was like?
yeah. All right. So Ben
Interesting.
says
Pretty
no.
much. He's like,
Are you saying yes?
no, I
He
said
says
he's
no.
not a
He's
traitor.
with Brett. He says no.
Wait, which one is it?
He's not.
He's not. He's voting. He's not.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I'm saying you just told me he is.
Yeah. Yeah. Just your
Did I?
just your reaction is
Like,
kind
I
of
can't
more
say anything.
evidence I know in favor of me.
Interesting.
In favor of my investigation into Lopin's criminal activities. But
If
for the
he-
record,
I think you guys
for the
are
record,
interpreting
I
my
really hope
confusion
that
in an
Lopin is
interesting
not
way.
a traitor because I think he's an awesome character. But the signs are there, and I'm going to say yes.
I think that if he is a traitor, Andrew, I still think he's gonna be kind of like a bigger character than me.
Like he could be a turncoat where he betrays him and then wants to make up for it, so he like helps him again.
I don't
Either
know.
that
Manny?
or big on the opposition. I feel like he's
Manny?
well developed.
Yeah.
I think he's a good guy.
Wow. I'm the only one who saw the
right.
signs. Potentially. Or I could be just a complete
hopeful.
crackpot.
Or I'm the only
Yeah.
one that made up signs.
All right.
Exactly.
So we've got it. I've got it
Oh,
recorded.
Jeff seems to agree with you.
I'm hopeful.
Yeah. Yeah, I have more evidence in my favor.
It's like,
All right.
we need to wait to the end.
I think that Ben is trying to interpret too much of my information.
Well, either I'm going to be drinking and doing push-ups or everybody else is.
So what else we got on Kaladin before we call this a day?
Yeah. So to kind of summarize the important stuff, the next really important thing that happens to Kaladin is he goes through a little bit of a dispiriting time.
Yeah.
And as a reader, I was like, no, Kaladin, don't give up.
Yeah.
He kind of is falling back into his old habits of not caring and being
Yeah.
very apathetic.
Well, he's starting to think that this is a curse, that
Yeah.
he's the only one ever to survive. Everyone else around him dies, which
Right.
is a bit of a recurring theme, that even
is.
everyone he tries to save dies.
Right.
Well-
and that really, really demoralizes
Yeah.
him. He's like,
Also,
what's the point if everyone's
what
just
he
going to
was
die
told
now?
that bridgemen are supposed to die.
Right.
Yeah.
That
That's another
a bridgeman
thing.
who lives is one who's failed, and then he's like, "What's the point of trying to save them?
Yeah.
They're all
Right.
gonna die. Like, there's no point. So screw it. I'm just gonna."
But
Right.
again, Syl makes good points here. As in, we're all gonna die, motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
What matters most?
Yeah.
The journey before you die.
Right.
Or
Maybe
is it
what's
how
most
you-
important? Because here's the thing. That's a good point. Bridgemen have short lifespans.
yeah.
But you might as well enjoy those short lifespans if you
Was
can.
it
Yeah.
Right?
that Tef
Yeah,
so-
who said that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And well, Syl was telling him that too.
Well,
Yeah, Syl
but
was.
Syl was giving in.
It was
getting in.
Tef's order who said that. That was the belief
creed?
system, the creed.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah,
that other
man.
guy recognized it, and then he just stormed off.
Yeah. Oh, Zigzil is another new character.
Yeah.
That's who you're talking about. right?
Zigzil. Oh, we gotta talk Zigzil real
We
quick.
do, yeah.
He's a unique foreigner who has a fantastic accent in the audiobooks, in my opinion.
Yeah.
And also, also is kind of more intelligent than some others.
Right.
It
Yeah.
seems.
He might have been a lord in his land. Because
been, yeah.
the land is not based off of Bright Eyes, I believe.
It's based off of age.
Right.
Based off age.
The older you live.
Is that his land? Or
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
It's his land.
Remember when he was describing how the people would just
politics.
off everybody who was getting close?
Yeah.
Did it just goes to show that like no matter what your system is,
Yeah.
somebody's gonna find a way to make it
To fuck
not
it up.
fair.
I didn't,
Yeah.
I don't think that was his land. I thought he was just describing another land.
Oh, he
it
might have been. You're
Yeah,
right.
You might be
no, no.
right then.
Actually, he was a servant or a merchant there, right? And then he was
Yeah,
talking about
yeah.
how they were traveling there, and they would off everybody. That's
yeah.
right.
You
Good
guys are
call,
right.
Ben.
He seems to be a very smart guy.
A world traveler.
Yeah. He's
Someone
clearly a
respected.
world traveler.
And
Yes.
it's like his job. It's like to go to other places and tell those
Stories.
people about.
He's a
other
world
places.
singer.
Oh yeah, that's
Wow.
what it is.
world singer.
That's it, yeah.
Yes.
Why are you not liking that you're a world singer?
And then, yeah, that guy.
Rack.
Why are you doing this thing?
Yeah, I love that. This thing.
No, I won't fight.
So yeah, we got Zigzil, and then with the help of Syl, Rock, and a bunch of other people, they kind of lift Kaladin's spirits again.
Yeah.
And Kaladin decides while he's in because now they have only chasm duty is their only
Yeah,
duty.
that wife of
Thanks
the
to that new
leader,
bitch.
Palanquin, the
Yeah.
Palanquin
she says,
bitch.
"You guys don't get to do anything. They can't even support their injured people now.
Yeah,
they
with
only
the-
get chasm duty."
Yeah.
She
So-
basically says, "Maybe you'll get eaten."
Yeah. So while Kaladin's down in the pit, he decides I'm just gonna train my men because they seem to really gain a lot of inspiration and hope from the spear training, and maybe we can make a break for it and just escape the Shattered Plains.
So honestly,
Yeah.
though, think about that. These men all know they're bait now, and they also know they're gonna die. You're gonna tell them, "Hey, we're probably gonna die. Actually, no, not we probably. We are gonna
will.
die. We're gonna
At some
die
point.
in months. We're gonna be dead. So you tell me that, and then you say we could make a go at it. I'm gonna go for the go.
Hell yeah.
I'm going for the go.
I think they're gonna change plans though. I think they're not gonna install the God Tower, but now that Kaladin has seen that view from
Yeah.
up above, they're gonna go through the chasm and go east.
I think they're gonna try and go through the chasm.
I like that plan,
I sense
Ben.
a Brett
I like
bet.
that. I
You guys
like
want to
that
make
plan.
that one or no? It's up to
I
you.
think I'm on Ben's side immediately from that one.
Yeah,
I'm
me
on
too.
this
I was thinking the same thing when I was reading. I think
Yeah.
that's.
I think that's a better plan.
yeah.
How do you think Kaladin's going to shape out with his plans? You think he's going to escape through the chasms or out?
Attack
what-
and guard
attack and
tower
guard
was
tower?
the original plan.
Yeah.
I think he's gonna escape through the chasms.
I don't
So
know
the
if
new
you
one,
need a
though.
Brett bet.
Yeah,
except-
I mean,
we're all-
the
Justin
thing
and
is
I
though
are
is
too
that
far along.
I'm starting to think that this is less of an option based off of Jeff's reaction, possibly, but we can't completely rule out the possibility of Adeline and Dalinar coming in and taking them as their bridge crew before they even escape as well.
Yeah, man.
We don't
I
even
think
know if
that's
they
a
get to the
possibility.
escape part.
Yeah, they might not. They might not.
Can't comment.
So it's
Because Ben interprets too
Can't
much
comment.
into my comments.
No.
And then he thinks he's right, and we'll see.
I'm really wrong.
You know, something
Because
that's
Ben
also very
kills everyone
interesting-
who can go against his findings.
Something that's interesting is Teft and how he's kind of defending the Radiance, even though the rest of the crew is kind of like, no, they
Radiance
they
abandoned
were.
everyone.
Yeah, and he's like, you don't know that. Too much time has passed for us to know. And he also had that saying like journey before destination,
Yeah.
which is what the
Yeah.
Radiance used to say. So
Yeah.
like, what is his connection to them?
He's
Is
got a
he
connection.
one?
He's
Or-
got a connection for sure.
Well, there's seriously an organization he was part of that had a specific
Knowledge.
job or task.
Or knowledge about them?
Like
Yeah.
carry it down through the years until
Yeah.
it comes again.
Or also, did you guys ever think like Kaladin taking the energy or the light, stormlight from the spheres, like reminded you of Zeth and how he always takes
Yeah.
the energy from that and his
yes.
skin glows? Like,
Yeah.
does Kaladin have the ability to lash as well?
I'm thinking
I was
does
curious about
or
that as
something.
well.
'Cause,
And I'm wondering if that's what he's doing subconsciously with the bridge, and
Yeah.
that's why the arrows just go all around him.
That's what I was gonna say, Manny. That when he's running in the bridge, like the arrows get
Absorbed.
not a magnetic pull like around him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They just coincidentally happen to hit all around him, and even he drops the bridge a few times. Like, oh, there's just like all the bridge is riddled around my body, but like I didn't get.
gets hit sometimes.
I was always under the assumption, I was always kind of attributing that to Syl, but I'm
Yeah.
more and more starting to think that maybe Kaladin has more of the power than I
Or-
thought.
Does
Yeah.
Zeth have a cell? Could it be possible that he's got someone running around with him that we just don't know
It's
about?
possible.
Yeah, maybe these powers come specifically from Spren that attach to a specific person.
But then also at the end of the chapters, I think Kaladin is becoming aware because he got sliced in the face,
And it was
but he healed. And he's like, what was
Very
that cut? I
quickly.
need to disinfect it. So
And it's gone.
It's not there.
I was like, what's happening? So he's like questioning. I think it's throwing some
Wow,
questions.
it's
Yeah.
really weird that I survived through a high storm. I had all these cuts, but 2 weeks later, I'm cool.
Yeah.
And not only that, but it seems like he could have even healed much quicker. But Teft
Yeah.
knew that would draw some eyes, so he
Right.
leaked it in.
slowed it down a little bit less light. He gave him a bit less.
And why did
storm
Tef
light.
know that? What the fuck?
I know. Maybe because Kaladin is a descendant of the Radiance.
But even Taft seem to be a little bit like unsure about it. Like maybe this will work. Let's try because what the fuck else is gonna happen? So he seemed to be a bit like and not really expecting.
Yeah, but he thought it out. Literally, he
So
thought
he
it out
must
enough
have
that he
known.
was like, if it does work, I don't want it to be fishy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So
then
there's some knowledge there. You know what I mean? Like,
after
you're
the
like,
first time, it did work, and he literally saw him runes close up a
It's
bit.
true, yeah.
He's like, I need to slow this down.
he saw him like light up,
Yeah.
so he's like, I can't make this too obvious because it'll draw attention.
So basically, Tef is got
wise
some command
man.
experience also because Kaladin called him out on it, and he accidentally went with
Yeah, when he-
I think he's gonna become an important character. definitely later on.
Agreed.
I feel
What do you
he's
guys
gonna
think
die
of Kaladin's?
before he explains everything?
It might be one of those scenes where he's on his where he's like bleeding out and he's like, by the way, like what happens in like so many other movies. By the way, now that I'm on my deathbed, I'm gonna tell you my secret. So,
what
What do you guys think of Scar?
Even though I've been with you for a year, I'm gonna tell you now.
What do you guys think of Scar and
Moash is another troublemaker.
Yeah.
I think
Scar
they're
and
cool.
Moash.
but- Yeah, they're troublemakers, but they're cool. I mean, you need troublemakers in a group.
Kaladin awarded Moash
Troublemaker.
a squad
Wake up.
leader.
Yeah,
Right? Kaladin awarded Moash a rank.
he did.
The person who
Yeah.
opposed him the most, or the longest.
Because he had the strongest willpower.
Yeah.
And Kaladin's like, I can use that. We can use that to our advantage.
Interesting.
He also recognized that he was picking up on the spear.
He was.
a lot faster than the rest of the crew.
Yeah. Who was it? The tall guy who was injured, I think, right? And then Moash and one of the
Scar.
guys in Scar were the
Scar,
guys who picked
yeah.
up on the training the fastest.
I also think the singer, the bard, did.
Dunny.
I don't know about Dunny.
I think it was the dude who was badly injured. Was it he?
He was badly injured, but he
big, tall
doesn't
guy?
talk anymore.
Oh,
He was a
right?
big
The
tall
silent
guy who
guy?
was really badly injured, and then he's one of the guys. I don't know.
I can't
been a
remember
while.
either. I
Yeah.
can't remember either. I just remember that
yeah.
Moash and Scar picked up on it really fast.
And
I
there's
don't
a
remember
third
the third
dude.
guy. Yeah, there was a third guy though.
yeah. But I just don't think there's enough time for them to train and stay alive.
2 weeks. I mean, you're right. That's a good point because 2 weeks, 3 weeks, who knows,
Yeah.
right?
Like 2 weeks of training against guards who've been training for years.
Yeah,
I think.
but
that-
they're being trained by Kaladin.
Bogus.
Oh, magic training.
That's some boosted.
True
level
testament how
experience.
Jeff hates dark eyes.
What?
He writes everybody's name on the bet and what they bet except for mine.
What did he write you as?
I wrote no, but then I said I forgot to write his
For
name.
everyone else, he has no Brett, no Ben.
Yeah,
Yes, Dross. No, nobody.
Manny.
No, I wrote that.
You dirty dark eyes.
I would have known.
He's
I would have known.
Why are you doing
so
this?
mad.
Go back to Bridge
Dark
4,
eyes.
Manny.
Why?
Why did
You air sick.
Why does he hate dark eyes so much?
Andrew's a dark eyes. He wrote Andrew.
Yeah, well, clearly. My eyes are darker than Andrew's.
I am
maybe.
from the.
Oh, you think you're
Kalani.
better? Just 'cause
I
your
actually
eyes
think
are
that
darker?
Manny's are lighter.
Yeah, mine are lighter than
Yeah.
yours.
Yeah.
So
Andrew's a true dark eyes. You just
guys.
kind of a.
let's close this
Whatever.
out. Let's close this out. So
Yeah,
I think we're ready. We're ready on part 3. We've closed Kaladin. He's got basically his plan. His plan is to escape because he knows he's bait. He or at least some of his men are kind of understanding that he's a little bit special. Mm-hmm. And
Something that's really cool about that is he realized as he was training them that all these people are perfect to train.
For
because
training.
They all have the motivation to survive.
Downtrodden.
And are already
Yeah.
like strong and muscles
Yeah.
are built from all the things that they were
training.
doing before.
They also have nothing to lose, and they're already there. So we'll cheers out, and we'll call this a day. And let's do one. Wait, everybody, wait. We'll do one special cheers
To Bridge 4?
Cheers to Bridge 4.
Ah!
You can't cheers empty. I know, Andrew.
Thank you.
The captain doesn't cheers empty. I know.
I
him.
don't.
No, Josh. Oh, that's weird.
Touch tips, guys.
That's so weird.
No, I think that's a bad idea.
Yeah.
Manny sucks.
It was a good
All right.
idea.
It was good.
We will. All right, folks. So next week we're going to talk to the end of the book. So we're going to the end. 2 weeks.
To the end,
It'll probably,
if your name is
take
Billy.
a couple weeks, yeah.
Yeah. We'll. Basically, what we're saying means nothing to you.
And
'cause
we
we're gonna
gotta get-
release it differently than we're recording it. So, anyway,
But the thing
cheers
is, though,
to
is
Bridge
that you
4.
need to
Bridge
be read up to the end of the book because we'll probably we'll talk about things through the end of the book and then go back and talk about
Yep.
different chapters.
No,
So
we're going
you
all the
wanna
way
be
to
read
the
through
end.
the end of the book.
Going all the way to the
Next
end
time,
in 2
all the way
weeks,
to the end, we're
And
finishing.
then,
That's
and
right,
then-
Gonjo.
Finish her.
To book 1.
Book 1,
To
Bridge
Bridge
4.